Welcome to Elementary. I hope you're having a fabulous Monday. And I hope your Monday is nothing like mine. So my Monday started off on a little bit of a mishap, should I say. And, cleaner called in sick, and therefore, it was just a chain of events. And excited to interview my guest today. And in a second, my guest is going to ask to join. And there you are. How are you?
I am fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Good.
I was just mentioning my day from hell, but hey, I'm good. I made it back to interview you in time. And so, yeah, we'll get started. So, as most of you know, I have interviewed Mathew before, and I will ask Mathew to introduce himself and his Instagram handle. So go ahead.
Sorry, say it again.
Introduce yourself and your Instagram handle. Thank you. Get social with Alex. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. Yes, it can't get any worse, for sure.
Yeah.
So yes, Mathew, introduce yourself and your Instagram handle.
So do I just make a comment?
Yeah, just say who you are.
Oh, okay. So I'm very old school.
Yes, it's okay. It's okay to be old school. So so my guest today is Mathew from RCC SOL Investors, and your Instagram handle is at rccsol.investor.
That's right.
Perfect. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
We put that in there. I am invest. It's in. Well, I've been investing for about 39 years. For the first 10 to 12 years, I focused a lot on the residential houses, the buy, fix, sells, the rent to owns, the what people call today BRRRR, and that was great. And at some point, I had about 18 or 19 houses, and I thought, I should be rich, but I thought I was just very tired. And by the time I got to about 23, 24 houses, I thought, you know what, maybe I should start combining these things. Maybe I should start getting into multifamily. So I did. I went with the 6 unit to the 10 unit. My first property was a 21 unit building. And I liked it because I was able to hire a superintendent to take care of things for me. So when I got home from work, and by the way, I worked for 10 years after I started investing. When I got home from work, I didn't have to take a phone call, which I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you've got a ton of experience from my last interview with you. We uncovered that quite a bit. And so, but what has happened since the last time I interviewed you? What has transpired?
Yeah, so last time we spoke a lot more about multifamily. So I would say 6 to 24 unit, a great type of real estate for people to get into if they're just super, super busy, right? And then I think I talked a bit about self-storage just before that, because I had gotten into self-storage a while back. Out of all my real estate, it's the real estate that I think works the most for me and I work the less for. But in the last, I would say, 8 to 9 months, I've been focused on warehousing. Now, warehousing is not something that people get into if they're just brand new investors. But because I have my portfolio, I'm moving away from the heavy lift, meaning I have to deal with real estate all the time. I'm just going to be building warehouses and then renting them out to large companies who will just pay rent for the next 15 years. So again, that's for folks who are like, hey, I'm tired of renting. I'm tired of dealing with tenants. I want just one big tenant to come on in. Warehousing is pretty straightforward, pretty easy, and then jump into that. But I think most people today are looking for a step up. instead of having, 5 or 6 houses, they want to jump into, let's say, a 6 unit or a 10 or 12 unit multifamily. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing more warehousing, but I do teach people how to do the multifamily.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I wanted to mention that Amrita, 6008. You may know Amrita, but Amrita says
Mhm.
hello, hi Matthew. So, hi Amrita, and thank you for joining us and spending your evening with us. We appreciate it. Um, so, um, so I also noticed that you started to do some 2-day workshops, right? I've been noticing on your profile, and you had quite a few a while back, but you have an upcoming event. So tell us a little bit more about your upcoming 2-day workshop.
So I'll tell you why I got back into doing workshops, and then I'll tell you about the upcoming as well. So
Yeah.
from 98 to about 2007, I did a lot of workshops. I would travel throughout North America, Florida, Arizona, Dayton, Ohio, little small dicky places as well, across Canada, and I would do a lot of speaking. I found that when I spoke a lot, it took away from my physical real estate because I was so busy traveling, so busy teaching, so busy helping everybody else. I sort of stopped helping myself. And I thought by 2007, I want to get into building. So I stopped talking, took about 10 years off till about 2018, 2019. And I thought, you know what? I'm dying to get back out there and teach because once you spend a lot of time amassing information, it's all in there. I think you want to just get it out. So as of 2018, 19, I started speaking again. And then recently, the last, I'd say about 9 months, I've been doing a series of 2-day workshops, like a multifamily or how to build a house, something called site plan approval, how to negotiate. And I think these are workshops that I believe people need to know. And some are 1 day, some are 2 day. And yeah, I do have one coming up in November. And
Yes.
I'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, so it's interesting because you do have a background in teaching, right? From what I remember you telling me the last time we spoke, right? You do have a teaching background as well, if I'm not mistaken, or am I just
Yes,
mixing you up?
yes,
Yeah,
that's
so I do
true.
remember. um,
So I
yeah, I remember
actually
some.
left college for the time I was 24 to about 34. And I left teaching because the real estate financially put me in a much better position. But sometimes, you don't want to walk away from your first love. My first love was teaching. Real estate's like my third love, fourth. But I made the mistake to walk away from my first love to do my third or fourth love because my third or fourth love paid me very, very well. But still in me, I always wanted to get back to teaching. I figured I'd get back to it a little bit later on in life. So this workshop coming up, the reason why I chose multifamily, I think a lot of people, as I said, are very, very busy. And I think multifamily gives a person a chance to have, let's say, 8 to 12 units where if somebody moves out, then all of a sudden, one unit is not really an issue. So one empty unit is not an issue, or 2 empty units are not really an issue. So, they can actually carry the burden. Number two, again, if you have somebody who is managing for you, because you can actually pay someone to manage it, and in some cases pay someone to be there, especially with the larger buildings, then you're not serving the property. There's one thing I don't do is serve property. Property serves me. And I don't want it to affect my life in a way where I don't have a work-life balance, okay? The third thing I liked about it is once a tenant moves out, if they ever move out, then you can quickly clean that unit up and actually put somebody back in. Now, today, cash for keys isn't working the way it used to because if you pay them money and they leave, they still have to use all that money elsewhere. But in the end, these buildings are stronger. They're like Jeeps. They're actually built for multiple people, whereas houses, even ones that are renovated, are more like cars, They don't go off-road too much. People still beat them up a lot. So ultimately, I like the fact that they're super strong as well, nice wide hallways. And over a period of time, they definitely double or triple in value.
So for all of you listening this evening, like I mentioned, I want to thank you for spending your time with me. I so appreciate it. very appreciative of, I know it's your dinner hour for some. And yeah, but I want to say, drop questions if you have any in the comment section or in the question icon, and we'll keep watching for any questions that you may have, and hopefully we can get to it in this session as well. So what can participants expect from your upcoming workshop? I want to say I'm almost on the verge of saying webinar, but I know it's not a webinar; it's a workshop, because you're gonna have to work at this workshop, right?
Yes, it's a 2-day event from about 8:30 to about 4:30 both days, and so pretty much what I do is I teach a lot of why something works. So not just here are the 10 steps to do something. I teach why those steps are important, and then I teach the logic behind those steps. I also teach the psychology behind everything as well. So it's not just to buy a property. There's a psychology in how you speak to the property owner, psychology in how you speak to the tenants, psychology in how you speak to the persons who are raising the money. There's a way to speak to yourself in order to motivate you to get things done. So a lot of it is really in the mind. And once you understand the mindset, and that's taken care of, and I talk a bit about that, then I tie it to, okay, now you're thinking the right way. Now let's do a step that gets us at least rolling. And once you get rolling, then I talk about behaviors. Behaviors are very important, because a lot of people think if they try something 2 or 3 times, it's going to work. You have to behave yourself into doing a series of activities over a period of time to see, let's say, consistency. So it's why something works, the psychology behind it. It's what are the steps I can take tomorrow to actually get things rolling, and then the behavior that you learn so that you repeat it. And then, by the way, once you start doing well, how do you maintain that prosperity? And I talk about all those things plus more at this workshop.
Yeah. And what can they expect to gain in terms of skills or knowledge, from this workshop?
Well, most important, people talk about a way of thinking, but people talk a lot about, positive thinking, or they talk about, seeing the big picture. It's really more about seeing the big picture. Now, positive is great. I'm a positive person, but you can be positive. You can be very poor. You can be positive and not actually know the right things to do. And at the same time, people are motivated. People talk about motivation. Now, I do motivate, but I don't spend a lot of time on motivation, because if you motivate an idiot, you know what you get? A motivated idiot. And that's not really somebody who's going to be successful in real estate. So I make sure that I do a little bit of motivation, but I do a lot about here's the big picture, here's how to see things, but not from a person who's beginning. Here's how to see things from somebody who's been around for a long time. And if you can see things through my eyes and then look at them through your eyes, I think people end up becoming, better, more successful, because they're combining their history with my history. And that's two histories.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I put it all together, people really begin to see a benefit.
Yeah, I agree with the motivation piece. The motivation, I look at motivation in a different light. Motivation is something that is not sustainable. Like, you can't teach someone I know a lot of people say there's all these people talking about motivation and they want to motivate you. Look, you either have the drive or you don't, right? You either can get up every morning and bounce out of bed and do what you need to do, or you don't. And if you don't have it, you have to find your why in order to find it. But I don't think, teaching motivation, like people say, oh, you can teach this stuff. You have to be able to do it. It's no different than like somebody has, an issue with a dependency on either alcohol or whatever. That person, or even smoking. People have to be able to say, hey, I want to do this for myself. And that's when I think, anyways, I'm going into this whole different piece.
No, but it's so true. It's so true.
So someone is asking, who is this workshop suitable for? That's my next question, actually. But thank you for asking it. Who is this workshop suitable for?
So I designed it for the beginner, and at the same time for the person who's been doing investing for a number of years. So if you have never bought a property and you're looking to get into real estate and you're like, hey, maybe the larger multifamily is something for me, I break it down to a simple format so that you can understand the workshop. If you're somebody who has a whole bunch of houses, you've been in the game for 6 to 10 years, you're looking to actually upskill and get into multifamily, then that's for you as well. The reason why I can do both is because when I teach, I use examples and I use small stories. So as I'm using a little short story or an example, people can relate to that from all different walks of lives. It doesn't matter where you are. So I'm able to cover both. So I keep it simple enough that people who are new can understand, but I also have enough meat in there that people who've been around for a while are beginning to see certain things that they just probably go around for a little bit. Both will enjoy it.
Perfect. So, could you share, I'm sure people want to know, but could you share maybe some highlights or key topics that you'll cover in this workshop?
So a lot of people, when they get into multifamily, so 6 to 64 units, they go to realtors. Now, I have no issues with realtors. The problem is, if a building is for sale with the realtor, it means they try to sell it privately. It was so expensive, no one bought it. So therefore, they went to the realtor, and now the realtor's selling it. Now, that's a very expensive building. So right away, the math isn't working out that well. Secondly, if the realtor's involved, now, as a buyer, you have to talk to the realtor, and then the realtor will then have to talk to the seller. It's very difficult to negotiate through person A to get to person B. So what I do is I teach how to find a building that's not even for sale, not for sale. The owner is not even thinking of selling it. And then approaching the owner, there's a system to do that, a way to do it. I've been doing it for years, and talking to that owner and convincing them that maybe they should accept an offer. And then from that stage, talking about the offer and see if you can break that offer down to something reasonable for both parties. And because there is no competition, because the property is not for sale, we actually have the time to negotiate, and we can put in all the clauses and conditions like subject to financing, to inspection, and so on and so forth. And put in all the clauses we need to protect ourselves, and even put down a very small deposit and get all the time that we require, probably 35 days, to get financing. So the key thing is, how do you find that property not for sale? How do you convince the owner to sell it? That puts you upriver. There's nobody really fishing there. Everyone's downriver, and therefore competition downriver is killing people. So for us, we don't have to worry about competition. So that's one of the highlights. And another highlight is, okay, so now you find the building. Who do you get to help finance your building? Well, I show you how to talk to building owners, people who've been around for a long time, older folks. I'd say probably 54, I'm over 54, but 54 to about 74. And they sometimes want more property, but don't want to do the heavy lifting. So I show how to convince those people to come on board as a partner, where you do the heavy lifting, they provide the money. It's a combination of how do you find off-market deals and how do you fund those deals from private investors who then bring the money to the table to make things happen for you. So those are two of the highlights. And by the way, those are hard things to do. I just make them easy. And people are fearful of those things. I love fearful things. If it's scary, I'll run to it smartly, but I'll run to it and check it out myself.
So I don't think those 54-year-olds are liking that you call them older folks, but hey, I'm just saying. Anyhow, and then the second issue is I am a realtor, so you can get really good realtors who will go to work for the clients, right? And go to search for stuff that is off the market. I mean, I have quite a few investor clients that will say to me, this is what I'm looking for. And yeah, you have to search a little. But I'm not saying all realtors are equal, but I will stand up for myself.
Well, I will say to you that once you get a great realtor, and you know what, I feel bad about saying this, but this is a reality. I've been doing commercial since 2000, so over 23 years. I have no issue with male realtors or female realtors, but the experience I've had with male commercial realtors, mostly I'd say 95% are terrible. Most female realtors, especially in commercial, because they have to fight to get into that system, they actually give you the best service. They work for you. They go all the way the woodshed to make things happen for you. So I should say that, yeah, every realtor is unique or different. There's some male realtors who are great, but I know that there are a lot of female realtors who, because it's still predominantly male-based as commercial realtors, they generally work extremely hard for you. And if a realtor's got some pocket deals, which means they have some private investors or private property owners who come to them, and they have these deals in their pocket, that's a great place to look as well. And I do have realtors who always have some pocket deals. Of course, I want to be first, second, or third on your list. So there's that aspect as well. And as for 54, I'm over that. But you know what? So I can comment on that.
Will there be any guest speakers or anyone else involved in this workshop as well? Or
yeah, you know what? Most likely, we're going to bring in Sirium and Brody from the Finley team. Finley team is a great team that helps raise funds. And there are a lot of teams out there that do that. But most likely, we'll bring those guys in to chat about how to finance some of these deals. And I may also bring in an inspector that I use to inspect property. So have them come and talk for a little bit on what I look for when I'm looking at these buildings so that we can catch problems before we even have to inspect. And at the same time, I'm bringing in some guys who just know how to finance these buildings. They know a lot about CMHC and alternative ways to finance. I think that would be a good add to this workshop.
Ringing, and but it's all good. It's all good. My phone's ringing. I'm in business. I'm breathing. I'm answering. That's it. Yeah. So, what are are there interactive elements in your workshop as well?
So this one coming up, I'm going to do an interactive negotiation workshop where I'm going to set up a few people as property owners, and then I'm going to have students technically sort of call them and talk to them and see if they can convince them to actually consider an offer and consider maybe negotiation. And I think what I'll probably do is set up a phone and I'll most likely call just random some building owners. See, as a mentor, that's what I do with my students. We'll just call a whole bunch of building owners, I'm talking random, improv, and speak to them on the spot and see if we can convince them to maybe take an offer. So most likely in this workshop, I'll set that up so that for me, I'll be calling people that I've never met, properties that are not even for sale. And then as owners jump on the phone, then students will hear me talk to them just to get an understanding that, hey, it's possible. This could happen. And then they'll see the tone that I use, and they'll understand the little mechanisms that I use when I'm speaking in order to cause someone to stay on the phone for a lot longer. See, most people want to stay on the phone when you call them for about probably 30 seconds. I keep them on there for like 13, 14 minutes. And by that time, you're old friends. There's a relationship that you can work from. So I think that they'll enjoy that a lot.
Perfect. So people want to know where they can sign up for this workshop. That's one of the questions that came in earlier. So where can they sign up for the workshop that you're having, the upcoming one? Okay, now,
if they have a pen and paper, just have them write down 6 letters, rccsol.com/events. In fact, I'm going to try to type that in. So rccsol.com/events.
rccsol.com/events.
And if they actually go to rccsol.com/events, it's going to have the events that are coming up, the workshops that are coming up. And if people pre-register, they actually get a pretty good savings, 30% savings.
I see. 30% savings for registering. NV Design says thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So,
and our classes, we try to keep them smaller, probably 22 to about 30 people. And here's why. Well, we take care of lunch. And we keep people there at lunch so they can talk to each other, they can network, have a good time. At the same time, on the first day, around 5 o'clock, we book a restaurant, and then we all go over, whoever can make it, we order apps and everything, and people just sit around, talk to each other, go from table to table, and network for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And people really enjoy doing that. So we're not looking for like 100 people or 50 people. We generally keep them small to about 22 to 30 people. And then people in the class get to understand each other, know each other. It's a higher quality student who just appreciates people who are very serious about investing. And we have a really good time doing that.
Yeah, so that was my next question. Anyhow, are there any future plans for similar workshops that you have in mind for 2023 at least?
2023. Well, you know what? After this this multifamily workshop, which is in October, in November we have a how to build workshop. Now, a lot of people say to me, "Well, I don't care about how to build a house." But if you're a real estate investor, this workshop breaks down how a house works, so that if you're talking to a contractor or a tradesperson, if anything goes wrong with your property, you actually can visualize and see exactly what's going wrong. And I think it's important for every single investor to understand their craft. If your craft is to buy property, this workshop, 2-day workshop that I have in November, and it's on that same website, really goes step by step for the beginner or the advanced person into actually how to make how a house works, how the system looks, how to deal with contractors and tradespeople. And I think it's a really good add to somebody's say repertoire as they're speaking to other potential investors and also to people who finance them. So it's fun. And then the following month we have a negotiation 1 day. We just ran that recently. That was pretty good. And we're going to run that again. And I do have a Paradise Investing, how to invest in Belize, where we build right now, Curacao, the DR, and probably southern Mexico. So it'll be a 1 day on just investing in Paradise.
So the workshop that you said that you have for building, but it's building in Canada, Toronto, Ontario, that kind of stuff, right? Not building in a foreign land, right?
No.
Okay.
So that how to build is more about how to build a house. But keep this in mind. Once you know how to build a house, then you get a better understanding of the whole process. And that helps a person if they want to, let's say, buy elsewhere or even build elsewhere. Now, when we build in the Caribbean, it's a completely different build. Mm-hmm. So it's more hurricane, level 5 builds, as opposed to here in Ontario. These houses are a lot more flimsy compared to what we build elsewhere. But still, I think people need to understand how the houses work, especially here in Canada.
So before we wrap up, where can people find you, and where what is your contact that they can reach out to you at? Sorry.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll give my email. So it's the word Mathew with 1 T. So MAT HEW dot F. My last name is Frederick at RCCSOL.com. And if somebody wants to reach out and say hello, then please do. And I can talk to you more about your personal situation, where you are, where you want to be. And if there's a roadblock, maybe I can help you through that roadblock. I've seen so far 6 market collapses from 1984 when I bought my first house to now. I've gone through 6 market collapses, 2018 in BC, I believe it was 2014 in Alberta, 2000 in Ontario, 1989 in Ontario, plus what happened in the US with 2007, because I invested in Florida and Arizona as well. So, market drops or market adjustments, that's my friend. I was born there. In other words, I know it, I understand it, I understand what to do in it. So if anyone's having a tough time with that, I can talk to them about that.
Perfect. So as we wrap up, I want to thank you, Mathew, for coming on the show. I appreciate your time. And for all of you watching, I totally thank you for your time. And if you have a topic you'd like me to unpack a bit further, feel free to DM me and let me know. If you feel like you want to be interviewed, it's a lot of fun. Fun for me because I'm asking the questions, but no, really, it's a lot of fun, right? So, DM me and we'll see, and tell me a bit about yourself and we can interview you as well. So until next time, once again, thank you so much and all the best with your upcoming workshops. And I wish you the best.
And thank you for having me. I love seeing you. It's great talking to you again. And let's grab a coffee and talk more about some of the services that you offer as a realtor. Because like I said, I have a lot of people who ask me about realtors. Let's do that.
Perfect. Thanks, Elio Mortgages. He's awesome. Amazing chat. Thank you, guys. That's his comment. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
So appreciate your time. And until next time, bye now. Bye.